Step 4 to finish this out here. Step 1, do you remember step 1? Step 1 is you have to know all your numbers. So that's that behavioral shift. The mindset is I want to know the numbers, and the behavioral shift is I have to I have to figure out those numbers. Step 2, you have to create a surplus. The mindset is that I get wealthy through creating a surplus, and the behavior is you create that surplus. Step 3 is you have to create a system. The mindset is I love a system. I love to manage my money. And then the behavior is you start managing your money according to the curb system that I just showed you, or something similar. All of that takes us to 4. With that surplus that now know how much it is, and you're managing your money so you always keep that surplus, that $2,500 a month we used, you have to put your money to work. So in this case, that $30,000 a year or that $2,500 a month, you have to put that money to work. And again, you're going to work and putting your body to work while you're taking a portion of that working income and you're putting that money to work. That money, it takes a little while to get started. That's why the younger we start, the better. We have more time. But that money will work harder than you can ever work. And it's going to create more money for you than you'll ever be able to create on your own. Why? Because money compounds. Our work doesn't compound. We have like simple interest, but money compounds, and it works 365 days a year. It never sleeps. It never takes holidays. It's always at work once we put it to work. And that's why it can outperform our best working 2-to-1 at a minimum, and usually 3-to-1. So our money to work is what makes us wealthy. It's what creates a financial abundance. Our hard work is just going to get us enough to pay the bills and keep us on the month-to-month hamster wheel. We can do that really well with high incomes or low incomes, but to have financial freedom, that peace of mind, that surplus, all the things, that only comes from your money working for you, not you working for the money. That's what they left out of the fine print. Nobody tells us that. Then we think it's all these smart people that know how to invest money and do all the things. No, it doesn't take any smarts. You could take, as long as you have that surplus, you don't have to have any smarts. Anybody could put it in something called an index fund if they have enough time. So there's no excuse for us not putting our money to work other than we don't know what we don't know and we're not doing it. Or we do know and we're not doing it. So here's a question. Put in the chat box, and we're winding down right now. What would you do if today was your last paycheck? So we already talked about our wealth number earlier on, but what would you do today if today was your last paycheck and you couldn't go to work anymore? Are you okay? Are you okay? Would you be okay? When you're financially free, you don't need any more working paychecks. That's what retirement is. What is retirement? Retirement is permanent unemployment. So when you're retired and you say, hey, I'm retired, you're either forced retirement or you choose retirement, you're unemployed. So you're going to be unemployed for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, however long you're going to live, but you're unemployed. So that means that there is no working income. The only income you have is Social Security and any of the money that comes from the money that's working for you. So again, like I said earlier, for net worth, if you have a net worth of $1 million a year, that's about $50,000 a year. That's about $4,100 a month. And that $4,100 a month can cover your rent, your food, your groceries, your healthcare, transportation at a minimum. So this what we're looking at is where's that $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year going to come from? And we have to create that future for us. And there might be some Social Security, there might be a few things, but we have to create our financial future. We are responsible for creating our financial independence. I am Krisstina Wise right now, standing here at this date and time. The same Krisstina Wise is going to be here, hopefully, God willing, 10 years from now. Same person, just 10 years older. So this Krisstina Wise today can take care of the Krisstina Wise that's 10 years older, that's going to be living life somewhere, doing something. So we have to not just care for where we are and who we are today. We have to care about ourselves that are older. It's our job today to take care of him or her later financially and to be thinking of that. But we do that in tandem with our money. So we, through our work and what we're doing, we're taking a piece of that. We're marrying ourselves to that piece of money. And then we're having our money do work with us. And us with our money over time means our future self is going to be taken care of. So that's what we're doing. But we have to love our future self and care for our future self and know that that's what we do today is going to determine how financially well off our older self is going to be. And one final exercise in here, maybe just write this down or put it in the chat. In 20 years, I would not want. So we've talked about what we do want in 20 years. What do you don't want in 20 years? And it's a really nice way to think about it. It means I don't want to be month to month. I don't want to be financially stressed out. I don't want to be 10 years older and no farther ahead. I don't want to be still in debt 10 years from now. I don't want my kids to follow in my same footsteps. I don't want to have any more financial crises. So it's really important that we connect to not only what we do want, but what we don't want for ourselves as, let's say, 10 years older. Because what we do today, financially speaking, is going to have a radical effect on our future self that's 10 years older today. All right. So principle number 4, shift number 4, you must grow your balance sheet. You must have a balance sheet. You must focus on a balance sheet. You must love your balance sheet. I love my balance sheet. I love watching it grow. But you have to love a balance sheet. You have to leave the income game and play the wealth game. The income game is just focused on making more money. The more money I make, the more money I can spend. The wealth game is a different game. The wealth game is an asset and liability game. It's growing your assets, reducing your liabilities over time. Sure, focused on making as much money as you can, but it's less concerned about income and more concerned about managing your money, following the principles to put your money work to use so you can create wealth and financial freedom. Your wealth is reflected on your balance sheet, assets minus liabilities. You never take your eye off the ball of your freedom number when you're wealth game. You invest your surplus to buy assets and build a portfolio. And you understand compound interest and how to multiply your money. Because you don't know how compounding works is what keeps most of us out of the compounding game. There's something called the rule of 72. When you're in the wealth game, you know the rule of 72. Go ahead and put yes in the box if you know what the rule of 72 is. And little bonus point if you put in the definition. So the rule of 72, again, this is another rule of thumb. It's a wealth guidance principle, and it helps you look at different investments. It's a tool. So the rule of 72 is you take 72 and you divide it by an interest rate. So 72, and it'll tell you in how many years your money will double. So if you take 72 and say you can invest your money to 10% interest rate, your money will double in 7.2 years. If you can invest your money with a 20% interest, 72 divided by 20 equals 3.6. That means your money could double in 3.6 years. So let's just say that we got $100,000 today. We were bequeathed $100,000. So $100,000 shows up in our bank account, and we say we could have two choices. We could spend it or we can invest it. So let's just pretend we say we want to invest this $100,000. So we got $100,000 as a gift. It showed up into our bank account. Most people would spend that pretty quickly, but we're like, nope, I'm going to follow the rule of 72. And let's just say for this illustration, we can get 20%. Most of my investments, I can get close to that these days. So 20%. So that means in 3.6 years, that 100,000 will become $200,000. So that's 3.6 years. So let's just say 7.2 years, it's going to be $400,000. It's going to double again. And in just a little over 10 years, it's going to be $800,000. And then in 14 years, it's going to be worth $1.6 million. So do you see how fast that grows? And just 14 years, if I took $100,000 and was able to get 20% interest over that time, in just 14 years, I can go from zero, putting in my first 100,000 to $1.6 million. That's how fast money can grow. Yet we're not putting in any portion of that $100,000. But that's how it grows. And so when we understand compound interest, it's like, hell yeah, you mean I don't have to work at all for that $1.6 million? We didn't have to break one fingernail for that 1.6 million. Our money at work created that 1.6 million that came from just $100,000. That's what we're missing out on. That's money working for you. And that's the rule of 72. And when you're in the wealth game, you understand this. And again, in Curbs, these are the very simple principles we learn. And we learn and how fast we can double our money. And we learn different investments we can put our money into once we have our bucket set up and our system working. And it looks like this. The mechanics are we're always working on our household profit and loss. We're always building our work balance sheet and we're directing our cash flow. We're working on increasing our income and lowering our expenses, not increasing our expenses, growing our assets and increasing our liabilities. And this graph over time, again, is this is the mechanics for creating wealth and multiple streams of income. All right, why you're not wealthy. Here's an example. This is like the rule of 72 that is in effect. So your fancy BMW, you lease that baby because you want a fancy emblem on your car. In this case, I guess it's a Mercedes. So you have a lease payment of $750. How much is this Mercedes going to be worth at the end of 20 years? Zero. How much is it going to be worth at the end of 40 years? Zero. So part of why we're the statistics in this country that I shared with before is because in the amount that people pay towards their car payments in this country, just car payments alone are keeping us from becoming financially free. Just car payments alone, because people don't trade cars for cars, they trade car payments for car payments. And most families have at least one car payment during the 40 years of their working career. So they just keep getting a new car, or maybe one car's paid off, but they get the second car with the car payment, or maybe the kids didn't need a car, but somewhere in the 40 years, usually there's a car payment. So in this case, if we paid off the cars and instead that $750 and we invested it in our own bank, in us, in our own assets, in our own net worth, in 20 years, it would be worth $600,000. In 40 years, it could be worth close to $5 million. So by having this fancy emblem and always having a car payment, we robbed ourselves of $5 million over our working career because we don't understand compound interest. And we don't understand putting our money to work and how putting our money to work can create us to be a financially free multimillionaire. That's what we're missing, again, because we're not applying everything that I'm teaching. All right, to wrap us up here. What if you shaved $5,000 of expenses? So let's just say between your household and your business. So assuming you have a business, you've shaved maybe $3,000 out of your business and $2,000 out of your household. For a total between your business and household, you shave $5,000 a month. And instead you invest it instead of spend it in your business and your household. And you have an interest rate of 10%. In 14 years, you have a worth of $2 million. The interest earned on that would be 1.1 million. Your passive income would be $150,000. So again, this is another illustration to say that versus spending that $5,000 between your business and your household, if you invested it instead in only 14 years, you could bridge that gap between zero and having $2 million, having a net worth of $2 million. Now, the thing is you're investing $5,000 a month. So, for 14 years, that's $60,000 a year times 14 years. That's your hard work, the cash that you've invested. But look at what your money did. Your money doubled it. You set aside all the money you set in, but your money made you $1 million. You didn't have to work for that money. It created it on its own. And this is putting our money to work for us. So if you shave $5,000 between your business and household, invest it for 14 years, you'd be worth over $2 million. Don't add another dollar for 10 years and you'd be worth over $5 million. Or if you reinvested that $150,000, you'd be worth over $8 million, which is $400,000 and $640,000 of passive income, respectively. This is what wealthy people know that everybody else doesn't. We manage our money. We know our numbers. We create that surplus. We manage the surplus. We look at our money. We manage our money. We systematize our money. And we put our money to work to grow so that we have financial freedom and that we have passive income and we have control of our money and a lifestyle and ultimately the legacy. But like I said, it's deliberate. It's conscious. It's skillful. And it's thinking and acting and behaving differently with our money than what 80% of what everybody else is doing. So just to kind of wrap us up here, don't ask where to invest. What makes this work is not the particular investment vehicle. What makes this work is the system that I just shared with you. It's how well you manage your money. For example, I invest in real estate and I've created my net worth. Two of my good friends, one of my good friends, Jeremy, he has the same net worth I do. He created his net worth in the stock market. He doesn't do real estate. I don't do stocks, yet we both have the same net worth. And then my friend Eric, he invests in companies. He doesn't invest in real estate or stocks. He's private equity and he invests in businesses. And he has the same net. So all three of us have more or less the same net worth. And we put our money to work differently that created our multi-million-dollar net worth. What we did the same were all the things I told you today. It's no magic penny. It's following these principles and shifting your mindset and your behaviors to put these 4 principles to work. So what matters most is you know your numbers, you create your surplus, you have a system for managing your cash, you protect it and invest it into a wealth-generating vehicle of your choice. All right, to wrap us up, you have 4 jobs. Your first job is to build a profitable business or create a lucrative career. Job 2, you run a profitable household. By running a profit and loss, you track all your money, you use a household profit and loss, you use the 20-80-20 wealth formula, which is a bucketing curve system that I told you about, so that you're creating all those buckets and growing your money through growing those buckets. Job 3, you grow your personal balance sheet by investing strategically according to the plan that's designed to hit your financial freedom number. And then 4, you grow your cash flow through multiple streams of income through the different assets that I talked to you about. And at the top there, you get to live your dream and be financially abundant and free. Again, this is available to everyone. I just gave you the keys to the kingdom. I didn't leave anything out. In 90 minutes, I guess, I don't even know how long I've been talking, but in 90 minutes, I gave you everything. You can do all of this without me. And no matter how old you are, you're not too old. It's never too late. No matter how young you are, you're not too young. It's only the stories in our head, the faulty beliefs, the faulty mindsets, and the faulty stories that are keeping us from doing this. And or we just don't want to change our behaviors. It's like hey, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to give up the ice cream. It's either or. So here we are. I just want to say that please take all of this and put it to work. You've invested 90 minutes of your time. So please do something with it, right? Turn that into a return. To wrap this up, you must know your numbers. The biggest number is you need to know how much money is enough. You must create a surplus and know those margins. You have to create a system and have this desire and system for managing your money brilliantly and passionately and lovingly, and just love managing your money. Why? Because just like when we started, we love our money. We love money. We love our money. We love what money can do. We love the lifestyle it provides us. It loves the peace of mind it gives us. We love the experiences that we get to experience ourselves and offer others. We love the legacy and what it can do for our family and for generations. So we love to manage and track our money. And then 4, we love putting our money to work because our money is such a good worker. It grows so powerfully. It compounds, it snowballs, and builds these massive futures that we can enjoy. And we want to have financial freedom. So I don't know. I mean, to me, once I learned about compound, I'm like, you mean my money can work harder than I can, and I don't have to go create all those millions on my own? My money can create more than half of that for me by doing all that hard work on its own. Why wouldn't I put as much money to work as possible, without sacrificing my whole life today? And so now, again, and once it gets to a certain stage, it just builds on itself and builds on itself and builds on itself, and you can't slow it down. So that's how it is. So here we are. I've given you everything I've got. I've talked for 90 minutes straight. My throat's about ready to close on me because I'm so thirsty. But didn't even want to take a time to take a sip of water. But now is where you have a choice. You can do this alone. You can absolutely do everything I taught you tonight 100% on your own. You do not need me. Or we can do it together.